When I hit my teens, although I knew God, I ran away from God as fast as I could. Well, I was brought up in a Christian family and I came to know God as a child, but because it was about the fear, it wasn't something that I strived for. I wanted to be loved, I wanted to be cared for, I wanted to be happy. So when I hit my teens, although I knew God, I ran away from God as fast as I could. I travelled, got married and that didn't work. I had some lovely children. I got a degree, I educated myself, but nothing sustained me. You know, the happiness didn't last forever. So I went off, I did some more travelling, and on my travels I met lots of Christian people, much to my annoyance really, because, you know, I'd had Christianity rammed down my throat so much as a child. I got dragged to church every week. It's like you've been vaccinated against it and you just want to get away from it. And if a Christian came in my life, I didn't want to know. I was like, I just wanted to get away from them as much as possible. But about 5 years ago, after my second marriage failed, I was out and somebody just turned around and just a random question, like really off the cuff, was, when did you last go to church? And I was like, oh, I was a bit surprised by that and taken aback. And it really made me squirm, and I'd sort of been thinking about God for a while before I was asked that question. But to me, that was the seed that finally got a bit of water after 30 years of being in the wilderness and just running away from God. And so through social media and radio, I heard about Sunrise on the radio and I ended up at church. And it felt like that. I can remember that first sermon. I can even remember what it was about, but I don't want to say. It felt like every word Pastor Ryan was saying was God talking directly to me. And I was like, maybe this is like a horoscope. You know, you read a horoscope and you're like, yeah, that's me. But this was just more really. And I just felt that the seed had been watered a little bit more, but I didn't know what I needed to do. And I realised that I felt that what I needed to do was study the Bible, but I don't really like reading, but I don't mind doing these Bible studies where you fill things in and that sort of thing. So I did a bit of that, and I started off in Proverbs, and then I ended up in another Bible study where I ended up in Ecclesiastes. And, you know, it was meaningless, everything is meaningless. And what I found really strange was it said like wisdom is meaningless, and I was like, but that doesn't make sense. You know, James says if you ask for wisdom, that's the one thing that God will give you freely. So what's all that about? So then I remembered that Pastor Ryan says, oh, buy a study Bible. So I got the study Bible out, looked through that, and it said in there that everything you do that's not done for God is meaningless. And to me, that's what made sense to me now. To me, that's the answer to life. That was my answer to life. It might not be someone else's. But, you know, from my studies and everything else, I realised that God is our refuge and strength, but he's also a God of love. And I had to learn what love is as well, because it wasn't something that came naturally in where I was brought up. It was rules and you did this and you were seen and not heard. But love to me now is about someone being kind to me, being compassionate towards me. And who doesn't want that? I feel more settled, more comfortable with myself. I mean, I don't know if you're ever truly comfortable in your own skin. You know, you've always got hang-ups. Oh, I'm too wrinkly, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too old, I'm too young. You know, you've always got hang-ups, but God loves you whatever you like, and that's really important to me.